There's some aspect to fitting in. You quote Hattori Hanzo on Imitation. The most important thing you should keep in mind when you go on a shinobi mission is to imitate well the language of the target province and the ways of the local people. This includes their appearances, the way of wearing clothes, the way of shaving their head, the way of making up their hair, the way of making up a sword or short sword, and the way of refinement and luxury. So, how do you fit into some of those places? So, you know Mexico, but
Yeah.
a person like me that doesn't know anything about Mexico, and say I'm interviewing somebody in a leadership position in a drug cartel,
Yeah.
how quickly do you learn how to fit in?
I mean, it's not about fitting in. It's about coming up with a narrative for yourself. What that book is talking, that's a quote from the book called a Shoninki, which is like an actual legit ninja manual from like the 1500s or something like that. They're not talking about blending in. They're talking about creating a narrative or a lie through your appearance and your behavior and your knowledge base. That's what they're talking about. So I would say first, if you're going to go to a place like that, first off, learn what is common there, what type of common restraints might be placed on you, what criminal groups work out there, what type of guns they have. Not only what type of guns they have, but go to the gun range in Vegas and learn how to fire some of these firearms yourself, so you know how to load them in case you run into a bad situation. How they tie the sword, how they wear their short swords could equate to how, if you run into some issues. Also, it would give you a good idea how many rounds those hold, so you can run at the right moment.
I like how you focus in on the tools of violence, but there's also the social engineering, de-escalation, right?
Yeah. So if you are in an environment like that and you are carrying around a camera, that might be an issue.
Or the opposite, it might not be an issue.
Well, if you're asked, like, who are you with? I'm with a news organization, or am I with a Christian aid group here?
Yeah.
And if you are with a Christian aid group, it's probably a good idea to learn some of the Bible, right? If you want a quick way of having somebody out there try and stop talking to you, you can start talking about Jesus in the middle of a little cartel territory when they approach you, and just take out the Bible. That'll quickly de-escalate.
What I usually prefer to do is I find somebody from the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and beat them up in front of to send a signal that I'm not a journalist, and I too don't like journalists.
That could be a way, but
to send a message.
I think a lot of us miss the fact that we are capable of taking control of our own narrative and what we communicate to people around us. I can show up here drinking a Monster Energy drink, dumping it on the ground, scratching you know what, and just sit down and just be a rude motherfucker. That's not who I am, but I can do that, and you will believe me if I am good at it. Some of us some of us don't know this aspect because it's something we consider predatory or something that is wrong or negative or bad.
Yeah.
And some of these aspects are actually, they're pretty useful. I learned most of my tradecraft and skillcraft from panhandlers and street performers. And when I had some training related to social engineering, those were the people that I learned from. I remember we were doing surveillance, and there was a guy there that showed us how to do surveillance, on the street. And he said, if you can find a way for somebody to smell you before they see you, you'll become invisible. And I was like, that's bullshit. If you can find a way of somebody smelling you before they see you, become invisible. I didn't understand what that meant. So we went on a 3-day bender, didn't take a shower, smelled like shit, no deodorant. You smell like a homeless person, you look like a homeless person, and you approach somebody asking for the time, and they smell you before they see you. And you are not there. You're not a human. You don't exist. So that was a pretty valuable lesson that I got there.
Yeah, so that's interesting. But like, I have this belief. It has to do with the way I operate in this world, I suppose. But if you come off as a person legitimately, I guess you could fake it, but I think it just feels like you can be extremely good, possibly the best in the world, if you practice it your whole life at being you. At being authentic, at showing like you have nothing to hide. And
a true believer is a true believer.
So like, yes, you can come up with a fake narrative, but then what I mean is like live that narrative your whole life then.
Like I understand.
And then never falter from that. Like you are this person. That's what I'm trying to. I have nothing to hide.
I consider that a true believer, and that is a unique person when you meet them, and they are out there. There are people that will fucking walk into places. This is who I am. I don't give a fuck. This is who I am. If you don't trust me, well, shoot me. Fuck it.
Yeah.
This is my honesty. And if you don't trust me, well, look at all these people that I've interacted with in the past, and you can ask them about it, or you can see my effects on other people. That's going to be my presentation card.
And so the way you said it now is using words and it's blunt. Usually somebody's blunt like that, like I'm a no bullshit person, that means they're not.
Yeah.
That means they're full of shit, actually.
But you do that through, I mean, I'm saying, I'm verbalizing your behavior,
That's
you know,
right.
just walking somewhere. You know, let's say you're going to interview somebody very dangerous down there and you walk into a room without worry. That is a presentation to you. You know, that's a pretty interesting introduction. You know, you're not a threat because you don't consider yourself a threat, and you're walking in there with the confidence that you don't consider yourself a threat, which is an interesting way of going about it. My life experiences has been different. I wasn't programmed that way from an early age, and it's hard for me to go into that line. Although more and more as I get older and as I learn more about the world, and I've failed a few more times, I can understand, or I'm more cognizant of the fact that you don't really have to try that much if you believe in yourself and who you are. If you know yourself, I think that is at the core of it. If you know yourself enough to be able to kind of communicate that to people around you.
And you're not hiding from yourself or from the world your flaws too.
Yeah.
That was the other thing you spoke to that is probably inspiring to others, is being honest about your flaws, about your weaknesses as a human being.
You can't pickpocket a naked man.
Yeah,
and
that's right. That's really brilliant.
If you know how to be naked, and again, I'm not there. I think I'm working towards that, just by, you know, openly going through shit and showing people, not telling them. Is a show me, don't tell me is another valuable lesson that I got long ago. I travel across the country, and I don't not only get to show people what I know how to do, but I give examples of it through things that I do out there. And I say this a lot, you know, when I travel out there, I'm never alone. You know, there's couches out there waiting for me. You know, there's homes that I can go and stay at, and friends that I have out there that I have never even met. But that's been about me not only wearing some of those mistakes and past failures on my sleeve, but also turning them into lessons for people. And just telling people the fact that, you know, I know how to do all this weird stuff, you know, and I show people how to do it. Yeah. But here's a bunch of weird memes that are very humorous about my culture and about going through therapy. And this is me doing something goofy, and this is me being an idiot in front of all you guys as well. You know, this is me being the fool. I think that is another aspect of it.
I love that as part of that journey, you made enemies with the rodeo clown and made up with him afterwards.
Oh, we're still we're in a very toxic relationship. You know, he knows who he is. He's probably out there listening. He's
love and hate.
We
there.
We stopped talking to each other for months, and then, you know, just send a dick message of some sort, and just, you know, we're back at it. You know,
back, yeah. Love expressed through anger. I love it. It's therapeutic. You have both very interesting career paths.